Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to our Zoology online class. And today's class also for science group students. Okay. So science group students, listen to today's class very carefully. And in the last class, we studied about one important 5-mark questions. I hope you all studied that questions as isolating mechanism. Okay. In the last class, we studied about this isolating mechanism. So once again repeat the definition for this word isolation: separation of members of a similar population or single population into many subpopulations is called isolation. And there are two types of isolations are there: pre-psychotic isolations and post-psychotic isolations. Okay, and we studied about 9 different types of isolation mechanism or isolating mechanism. Okay, my dear students, so it's one of the very important 5-mark question. Okay, today we are going to study about 2 more important topics. Okay, 2 more important topic. The first topic is speciation. The first topic is called speciation. See, there are many different types of definitions are given by many biologists to explain about the speciation. So there are different types of definitions are there to explain the speciation. Okay, so the common definition of the word speciation is a process. Okay, speciation is a process by which one species evolve into one or more different species. So speciation meaning it is a process by which one species evolve into 2 or more species. 2 or more different types of species is called speciation. That means one species from different types of species are evolved from a single species. Okay, different types of species evolved from a single species is called speciation. So this is the common or general definition for the word speciation. Understand of you? Then one more definition. Can I say one more definition for this word speciation? See, this definition was given by one naturalist. His name is A.E. Emerson. See, A.E. Emerson is one of a famous naturalists. See, according to his view, speciation meaning it's a genetically distinctive, reproductively isolated natural population. So, Emerson has given a definition for the word speciation. So, according to his view, speciation meaning it's a species. Okay, species is genetically distinct. That means the genetic material is different and reproductively isolated. Okay, reproductively isolated natural population. So species is a genetically distinctive and reproductively isolated population, natural population. Understand of you? Understand of you? So now we have completed or we have studied the definition for the word speciation and we have studied the definition for the word species. Hope you understood that. Now we are going to study about 2 important 2-mark questions. The first one is agencies. Okay, first 2-mark question is agencies. Agencies meaning evolution of new species in a single lineage. Here lineage means in Tamil we can say marabubadi. Okay, so the evolution or the origination of new species in a single lineage, it is called agencies. Okay, it is called agencies. This agencies is also known as phyletic speciation. Is also known as phyletic speciation. Understand of you? So this is one of the very important 2-mark question. Then the second 2-mark question is called cladogenesis. Okay, cladogenesis. Here this cladogenesis is always called divergent evolution. Cladogenesis is always called divergent evolution. See, meaning of this word cladogenesis or divergent evolution is one species diverge to become more species. Okay, when one species diverges to become more species is called cladogenesis or divergent generation. Understand, my dear students? So now we have studied 4 2-mark questions. The meaning for the word speciation, meaning for the word species, then agenesis, then cladogenesis. So totally 4 2-mark questions now we have completed. Understand a few? Then the speciation process is classified into 2 major categories. Speciation process is classified into 2 major categories. The first category is called symbiotic speciation. Okay, the first type of speciation is called symbiotic speciation, and the second type of speciation is called allopathic speciation. So the speciation process is classified into 2 major categories. The first one is symbiotic speciation, the second one is allopathic speciation. So first I explain about what is this symbiotic speciation. Say, evolution of new species from a single ancestral species. The formation or the evolution of new species from a single ancestral species, while both of them living togetherly in a single geographical area or the same geographical area. So one new species is evolved from the ancestral species, but both species are living togetherly in the same geographical area, so it is called symbiotic species. So this type of speciation is called symbiotic speciation. So hope you understood. Then say here new species, already told you the new species is evolved from the ancestral species. Here this new, according to this symbiotic speciation, the new species are evolved due to some modifications in the ancestral species. Okay, so because of many reasons, some modification takes place in the ancestors. Okay, so because of these modifications only, new species are evolved from the ancestral species. Then in this type of symbiotic speciation, the sexual isolation is very strong. Sexual isolation, the last class we have studied the differences in the sexual behaviors, sex cells is called sexual isolation. Okay, so the sexual isolation is very strong in this symbiotic species. So once again I repeat all the points about this symbiotic speciation. Here symbiotic speciation means evolution of new species from a single ancestral species while both of them living togetherly in a same geographical area. This is the first point I said about this symbiotic speciation. And the second one is here this new species is evolved due to the modifications in the ancestral species. And the third point is sexual isolation is very strong here in this type of species. So now we completed the symbiotic speciation. Then the second one is allopathic speciation. Second type of speciation is called allopathic speciation. See, here allopathic speciation meaning due to some geographical barriers. Barriers means in Tamil we can say tadaigal. Okay, so because of some geographical barriers, example we can say the mountain, river, lake, land division. So these are the example for the geographical barriers. So because of these geographical barriers, the similar population or the similar species is separated or isolated from each other. See, listen, see, this is population, one population. Okay, one population. So many members are here, nearly 1000 members are there in this population. Because of one natural barrier, these two populations are separated or isolated from each other. So this type of speciation is called allopathic speciation. So due to some geographical barriers like mountain, river, lake, the closely related species or the similar species are separated from each other. So this type of speciation is called allopathic speciation. So hope you understood this point. Then because of this, and in this type of speciation, the gene flow is totally prevented. If there is no barrier here, all the members are living togetherly and they are making reproduction among themselves, and the gene is moving from one organism to another organism. But here, because of this barrier, the gene flow between the members of these two populations is prevented. Understand, my dear students? I hope you understood that. Next point, see, when barrier occur between the species, okay, when barrier occur between the species, some changes takes place in the environmental situation, environmental factors or environmental conditions. So if any changes takes place in the environmental condition, it leads to modification or adaptation. It leads to adaptation. So I repeat this point. So when any barrier takes place or occur between these population, between the similar population, some changes takes place in the environmental condition. If any changes takes place in the environmental condition, it leads to adaptation. It leads to adaptation. So if any adaptations takes place, it produces so many differences. It produces so many differences. So I hope you all understood this point. That if there is no adaptation, they will not live, they will not survive. The population, the members of the population will not survive or live. And in this type of speciation, the sexual isolation is very weak. In this type of population, the sexual isolation is very weak. So once again repeat all the points about this allopathic speciation. So in allopathic speciation, the geographical barriers playing a very important role. Because of the geographical barriers only, the closely related or the similar species is separated or isolated from each other. Isolated from each other. Understand you? Then when these barriers occur between the members of the or between the population or between the members of the similar population, immediately some changes takes place in the climatic conditions. So if any changes takes place in the climatic condition, it leads to adaptation. Adaptation produces many differences. Adaptation produces many differences. Understand you? And if there is no adaptation, the members will not live. And the last point about this speciation is sexual isolation is very weak here. Understand you? So now we have completed one important 5-mark question, speciation. The two types of speciation is very important for 5-mark question. And the beginning we studied about 2-mark question answers. Understand you? Understand? Then our next topic is extinction. Our next topic is extinction. See, extinction, see, disappearance. So extinction is common for all the living organisms. Once a living organism born in the earth, within few hours or within few days or within few months or within few years, it will automatically disappear from the bird. So extinction is one of the common factor in all the living organisms' life. Understand you? Then the extinction takes place. So in the earth, the extinction process takes place in 3 levels. In 3 levels. The first level is called species extinction. Okay, the first level is called species extinction. And the second level is called mass extinction. Mass extinction. Understand you? Then the third level is called global extinction. Extinction. So the extinction process takes place in the earth in 3 levels: species extinction, mass extinction, and global extinction. Here, species extinction meaning all the species, the entire species are eliminated from the earth by two important events. The first event is the environmental event and the second event is the biological event. So because of these two events, environmental events and also because of the biological events, the entire species is eliminated from the earth. So this type of extinction is called species extinction. Here environmental events, example we can say the overflood, then earthquake, tsunami. So these are the example for the environmental events. Then biological events, example we can say the diseases, the non-availability of food. These two are the example for the biological events. So because of these two events, the entire species is eliminated or disappeared from the earth. So this process is called, this extinction is called species extinction. And the second one is called mass extinction. So in this type of extinction, maximum, okay, so it eliminates half or more than half populations in a particular region or in a particular ecosystem. So within a particular region or within a particular ecosystem, half of the population or more than half population is eliminated or disappeared. So this type of extinction is called mass extinction. Understand of you? Then see, there are 5 mass extinctions are still identified since Cambrian period. Okay, so totally 5 mass extinctions are still observed from Cambrian period. Here Cambrian period means already we have studied in the first class of this lesson. Cambrian period is one of the youngest period in the Paleozoic era. Okay, so in the Paleozoic era there are 7 periods are there. Here this Cambrian period is the first period, the youngest period. So during this period, okay, so since this Cambrian period, there are 5 mass extinctions are noticed. Understand of you? And these extinctions are otherwise called KT extinctions. Okay, KT extinction. Here KT extinction meaning Cretaceous and Tertiary period. The extinction takes place between the Cretaceous and Tertiary period. Understand of you? Understand? So now we have completed 2 important types of extinction, levels of extinction. And the last level is global extinction. Global extinction meaning that it eliminates most of the species in a continent. Okay, almost all the living organisms disappear from the earth or from a continent. It is called, so this type of elimination is called global elimination. This type of elimination is called, and it is a large scale, and most of the species are eliminated in a large scale. Okay, in a large scale. So this type of extinction is called global extinction. Understand of you? Here example we can say the snowball earth and the extinction following the elevation of carbon dioxide level. Okay, so snowball earth and the extinction following the elevation of carbon dioxide level is the example for this global extinction. Understand of you? So my dear students, today we have completed 2 important topics. The first topic is speciation and 1 5-mark questions, and the speciation, the entire topic is togetherly maybe asked for 5-mark question and 3-mark question, 2-mark questions, 1-mark questions also there. Then the second topic is extinction. This is very important, 3-mark question. Okay, the 3 levels of extinction is very important, 3-mark question. What are the 3 levels? Species extinction, mass extinction and global extinction. Understand, my dear students? So I hope you all understood today's class. In the last class, few students sent answer to me. I really appreciate you. So today also study these 2 question answers. It's a very small and very simple, easy question answers. Study thoroughly and send the answer to me through my WhatsApp number. Okay. Okay, students, dear students, we will meet in the next class. Thank you.